Hey, who am I talking with?
I'm Marc Maron. Nice to see you, Dave.
Good to see you too, Mark. Hey, I remember about maybe a year and a half ago, your podcast was taken off and we had a little IM conversation. Did you get anything out of that?
Yeah, that was a powerful IM conversation. It changed my life, Dave.
Probably don't remember it at all. No, you were asking me a lot of questions about podcasting and about making money, and I showed you an article I wrote about making money from podcasting.
Yeah, I did. I remember that, and I did read it. I don't know that we did what you said I should do, but we're figuring it out.
You actually have everything. All it did was it pointed to the 9 different models of making money from podcasting, and pretty much what you're doing are a few of those different models.
That's right. It's really just figuring out which, revenue stream is an interesting thing. And you have to do it in a way that's not insulting to your listener and figure out how you can, you kind of invent your own. And I guess what you're saying is that you knew all along what I needed to do. Am I interpreting this right?
Yeah, pretty much. The point of this interview is to bring it back to me. No, I'm just trying to create a point of context.
Yeah, that's the interview style I support.
Yeah, well, that's why I decided to do the interview this way. No, but what I'm intrigued by is how this, because I know you like to bitch and complain about how your career's not taking off, but now it is, thanks to this podcast. What has it done for your career?
Well, it's just raised awareness of who I am, and the way that people know me now because of the podcast being so personal is in a much deeper way than they would have known me just by watching 5 minutes of stand-up or a half an hour of stand-up, which for people who did know me then said, well, you got to see him live. So now I can honestly say that the people that are coming to my shows because of the podcast probably know me better than they should.
One of the things I loved about your podcast, it was very much sort of inside comedy baseball. And I was thinking, well, who would like this other than someone like me who's really into comedy? But then I ran into Alex Cole outside who said, I've got friends who weren't into it, yet they're now totally into this comedy baseball.
But that's really sort of like, I think that if you were to really lay it out, that would maybe be 35% of what we talk about. That most of the conversations, all I'm really gunning for is authentic conversation about whatever evolves in that conversation. So some of that will be comedy baseball, but I think it applies to anybody who does something creative or struggles with the issues of wanting to express themselves.
You were mentioning that there were certain podcasts that became breakthrough. Were the Carlos Mencia, was that a breakthrough podcast for you?
The first one was really Robin Williams, and then Carlos. Ben Stiller was a breakthrough. Zach Galifianakis early on. People with some marquee appeal. But the Mencia one was a breakthrough because it sort of like raised the bar in terms of I was really forced to become a journalist in those 2 episodes.
And you tried to give equal fair side to both sides.
I didn't set out to punish Carlos Mencia. That was not my agenda.
Now, I know that was probably not your agenda with the Gallagher interview, but that one kind of went south as well.
I didn't really plan that in the sense that I wouldn't have asked him to be on had his manager not solicited it, and I found him to be difficult. And I had some points I was pressing, and he stormed out. I found it surprising.
Do you think these controversial podcasts, like also when you bring up your past relationships with comedians like Louis C.K., is what sort of excites people about it?
Well, I think it's just I think that actual conversation is a lost human form. Now, I'm not even going to say art, but the idea of sitting down and talking to somebody just to talk for an hour does not happen anymore. So I think that any of them are sort of provocative in the sense that these are candid conversations without a destination and without an agenda. And I think that the one thing about the second Mencia and also the Carlos, those were not personal agendas. I wanted some facts. The thing with Louis or with Judd Apatow was that we were 2 friends trying to heal something, and I think there's not anyone that can't relate to that.
I find so many of your podcasts, and I'm sure a lot of people give you crap for this, begin with, we had a negative past, or I had some issues. And is that true that you've had issues with almost every guest?
Well, I have a lot of issues, but it turns out because I'm so self-involved that they may not register it. I mean, sometimes I bring stuff up that I've been holding on to, and they're like, I don't even remember that, or that you've been holding on to that. Yeah, so they're usually mine, but I sort of, I was not... I've been sort of a defensive ass in my life, and I have offended people. So yeah, it's more about an active amends process more than anything else.
Well, hey, Mark, thanks a lot. And thanks, by the way, for giving me credit for all the money you're making podcasting.
Absolutely. If it weren't for you, Dave, I don't even think I'd be successful at all.